Hi, my name is Alfred Bergeson, and this is the Valley Project. The Valley Project is a Boys and Girls Club production featuring the voices of African Nova Scotian youth in communities across the province. In this video, we highlight the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Halifax, the Boys and Girls Club of Preston, and the Boys and Girls Clubs of Whitney, Pier. Youth in each of these locations came together to film and to share their value, to capture their community, their families, and to share this with the world. Because of COVID, we've taken the screening of the Valley Project online and we've made it available to you wherever you are. We initially intended on having all the youth come together for a public event where we would screen this in front of their families, their friends, and Nova Scotia. Here it is. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you to everyone that made this possible, the Government of Canada, the Department of Canadian Heritage, to the youth who participated, to the youth who spent countless amount of time, filming and editing and sharing their stories. I just want to say thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for watching, and we hope you share this, and we hope this makes you proud.
My name is Laura Rogers. I'm 19 years old and I'm from Whitney, Pier. For most part, I was behind the camera, which was a great experience for me because I'm not very in tune with my culture. And so this project really helped me with that.
That's cool. So from you literally behind the camera, you got to capture more about your culture and your community.
Yeah, and it was very interesting.
What did you learn about your community in the process of this documentary?
One thing that I learned actually was that a lot of people think that community is just people that you see on a regular day basis walking up and down the street, but I feel like community is more so family, especially here in the Pier. With all of the things going on with Black Lives Matter right now, it's a time where people come together. I think community is a lot more than people think it is.
Well, the Pier came because of the steel plant and the coal mines. A lot of people came here. Our black community, when I was a boy, was the first 3 streets, Tupper, Lawyer, Hanker. That was mainly the black community. And within that community, we had 2 divisions of African Canadian people there. You had the West Indian content, and you also had the black loyalists. Like my parents are from Guysborough, so they came down here for work, and I'm a black loyalist descendant.
And at that time too, there was Newfoundland wasn't part of Canada, so you had people from Newfoundland that also settled here in Whitney, Pier, all working the steel plant or the coal mines, like Chester mentioned earlier. And you know what? Everybody had their own churches too. For example, the St. Philip's African Orthodox Church, that was once a warehouse that was housed at the steel plant. So again, as much as it was diverse, it was very segregated because a lot of the the people from Barbados and the black loyalists, they couldn't go to some of those other churches to celebrate, births, weddings, funerals, or anything like that. So again, there was a movement in the community to establish then, St. Philip's African Orthodox Church. So.
But Whitney Pier was a unique, and still is a unique community, very multicultural. I like saying there's more churches than houses down here, right? I mean, within the 18-block radius of our community, you have Polish, Italian, Ukrainian, Jewish, Muslim. Moss just moved in a couple years ago, black, white. So it is a melting pot, but we have a strong identity as African Nova Scotian youth.
My family structure when I was in elementary school consisted of both my parents. Very inclusive family environment, lots of love, lots of support.
My structure with my family, my mom died at a young age, 24. My dad had 2 boys before they met, so there were 6 boys under the age of 10. And he went off to Toronto with the 2 oldest. And my great aunt, Irene Ophelia, raised me. She was the backbone of my life. And makes me cry when I think about her.
My grandmother was living next door, provided my mother and father the opportunity to be able to go out and work. Both were working people, and when we came home at lunch, my grandmother was there. When we came home after school, my grandmother was there. So that was very important to us.
My father was from Barbados. My mother was from Glace Bay. But it was interracial. That's the best way I can say it. And nobody was shunned. Everybody was loved, and they wanted to see the best for the community and their children to exceed in school.
I value the respect that you learn for different people's cultures. And that was just so prevalent here in Whitney Pier that it becomes, I always say it was the food that you were fed. You learn other people's cultures, you learn to respect those cultures. Growing up in Whitney Pier, then as you become an adult, you recognize how important it is to respect other people's culture. You learn this, you embrace it, you don't make judgments, but I think that was a very strong foundation for me.
Family was always there, family is still always here. Essentially, my family structure is the same that it is now. We're a very close family.
Same as that. Growing up, I could always depend on my mom and dad. They were always there for me and my brother and my sisters. I watched them work hard every day of my life, so I definitely look up to them.
My grandfather's originally from Barbados. He came over here, and then, so he had my mom. So we moved back here, and it was just my mom, and she was raising my brother and me. So then Chester stepped in and took the role of not like boss father, but like my dad. Like he helped my mom when she needed help. I had my friends, and it was more so the community really came together to like help raise me and show me you're from the Pier. Like you don't need to say you're from anywhere else, you're from the Pier, like that's where your family is.
You knew everybody, and if they were like your parents. If they told you go home and you wouldn't dare, you might be thinking it, but you wouldn't dare say you're not my mother or father. No, you went home. I mean, you didn't like it, but you went there anyway. You had great respect for one another, and it was just not black and white and everything. We had all kinds of people. I went to Whitney Pier School and got along really good.
You know, and we were all, you know, very close-knit, very supportive of each other. Growing up on Tupper Street, as much as that was my family, my nuclear family, the community was my family. So, for example, if we were out too late and, you know, Miss Irene Burke or somebody says, you know what, Darren, it's getting kind of late, maybe you should go home, you went home. So, again, it was very much parenting by community. So there was a collective responsibility. So everybody was responsible for everybody. So which was really nice, you know. And I think that's something that maybe we kind of miss, you know, right now. So.
My great aunt was a white lady from New Hartford, and my culture wasn't a whole lot in my life in my house, besides love and respect. But my community took care of that for me as I went Jonathan Ski, Campy Crawford, Muriel Farmer, Shepherd, all that stuff. All those people were a big impact of getting me to where I came from.
My culture played a very critical role because my mom was from Antigua, my dad was from Cuba, and there were most of the black people in Whitney Pier at the time were people from the Caribbean. And there was also people who were not black, who were from the Ukraine, from Poland, from Lebanon, etc. And so we learned each other's culture.
I think I alluded to it earlier. The fact was, yeah, it's very diverse, but you know, we all went to school together. It's like, for example, I went to Villanova School, which was a Catholic school, and a lot of those students that I went to school with, after Friday, you didn't see them you didn't see them Saturday or Sunday. You'll see them when you went back to school. Right, so I think, for example, like the other thing is there was a Sydney District Little League. We all played Sydney District Little League, but before we played Sydney District Little League, there was the United Mission Pony League.
Exactly.
Right, and that's where we learned to play ball, was at the United Mission. And we had our own league within there, and there was teams like, you know, there was the Mets, the Orioles, and then later on there was, you know, teams that had culturally relevant names like the Zulus. There was a team called the Zulus, but then there was the Cool Cats, the Crickets, and for predominantly most of the kids that played in the league were probably, you know, African Canadian or African Nova Scotian kids, and then other kids came in to play. So,
well, there wasn't no Boys and Girls Club at that time. We had the United Mission. We were mission kids. Everybody asked us where you grew up at. We grew up down in the black community there at the United Mission, and me being the executive director of this club, almost everything I learned down the mission, I just brought it up the road, as we say, up to here, made it more multicultural to reflect the whole community.
Well, after school, evenings, weekends, and at lunchtime, we were always outside. We were always playing, we were either playing baseball. We used to have what was called a pony league. It was a baseball league, and myself and Rose, we played on the all-girls team. The other teams were all boys, and we were very competitive. And those are things that we did. We were always outside, whether it was some of the games you don't even call anymore. We used to play tiddly, we used to play elastic and skipping, and all of those things, the different sports. But it was the fact that we were always outside.
Whitney Pier was a great place to grow up. We weren't perfect, but I think we focused in on the positive aspects of growing up in Whitney Pier. I think that when we left Whitney Pier and went over town, you ran into a little bit of challenges over there, but you still were able to come back to Whitney Pier and still feel good about who you are.
I think the thing about when you experience, and you do, racism in Whitney Pier, it hurts more. It's on a more emotional level. See, in Toronto, it doesn't matter because I close my door, I might not see you next 10 years, you know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of things about the bigger cities compared to here at home. But I always said I would come back home. I always knew I would come back home. And there's changes, you see the changes. Like, it's not like when I was growing up, you know, like it's a lot more intertwined diversity. As before, you know, when we were coming up through the pier, you would only go as far as Joe Brooks store. Now it's different because I walk all over God's creation around here. I don't feel uncomfortable anywhere as I end up walking.
I think culture played a pretty big role. Coming from the pier, I'm half white and half black, but no one's seen that. The culture wasn't that you were African Nova Scotian. The culture was that you were from the pier. And really, walking in the street, I feel safe around here. I don't think anyone's gonna, try and stick me up or anything because we're all one big family from the pier.
I think we got along because we depended on each other. At one time, you didn't have to leave the pier to get anything you wanted. There was jewelers, there was grocery stores, there was bakeries. So basically, you could get anything you wanted. There was hardware stores. You could get anything you want without crossing the bridge or the overpass, right? So again, as much as it was segregated, I think there was that common link, which was Whitney Pier. They all worked together at the steel plant, and that was the glue that binded the community, I guess. And
economics.
Yeah,
economics played a key role because this was a low income, if you want to call it a poor community, which we didn't know because we were all around same housing. There was no big houses, same kind of financial structure. You're lucky if one of your parents or somebody, your relative, worked at the plant, right? So there was no. It's the economics that kept this community together because we were at times looked down on from town.
Yeah.
Right. So you didn't really notice it, and it was a tough transition going from. You did your elementary in the pier, you did your junior high in the pier, and then you had to go to town to do your high school.
And I think it would be very important for people to understand their culture because at first I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to sit down and listen to somebody go on for hours talking about stuff that I thought didn't apply to me or didn't matter to me. But when you sit down and actually listen to it, it's like, wow, like this stuff really happened to my family, and it's like they fought for me to be where I am right now. And I think that's a very important thing that everybody should know.
Learn the history of Whitney Pier. Learn who are the people that grew up here and then have gone elsewhere as adults and have worked and been successful, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber, electrician, a nurse, anything, and you would find a great story there to motivate you. And as I said, we were not perfect, and that you would find in any community. But I would say to the youth of Whitney Pier, be proud of who you are, be proud of growing up in Whitney Pier. My father and mother always said to me, if you want to be a janitor, there's nothing wrong with that, but make sure you're the best janitor that could be. So, and if you decide you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, or maybe strive to be a lieutenant governor, be the best, right? So that people can always say, yeah, they were really great. And they're from a place called Whitney Pier. How did that help them? Because I always say Whitney Pier was very strong in my upbringing.
This club brings a lot of people together, not just the kids, parents, adults. It brings people in general together. It really does. And you know what? When it's good to have a place for your child to go, but it's also good to have a place for you as a parent, mostly single parents, to go to.
Well, everybody wants to belong somewhere, right? So it all kind of starts there. Like this is it's family. It's more so family than going in and seeing your coworkers and going in and seeing the kids every day. It's like your little brother's running up the stairs coming to give you a hug after school rather than seeing just a random kid run through a door. I love it.
And this place helps you realize that not everyone is like you. And you're gonna have to find different ways to work with someone else or just even tolerate them in general. And this place really helps with that, I find.
And I like taking a word and picking it apart, right? P is for pride. If you ever ask anybody who's from Whitney Pier, we take great pride in saying that we're from the Pier, right? I is for integrity, based on your family names and all the different culture and the names. Like my president, his last name is Walaka, right? So we know he's from the Pier, right? It's a Ukrainian name, we know he's from the Pier, right? E is for equality with all the different groups, and R is for respect. The number one rule at this club is respect. And this community is always looking for the respect that it should have and has to earn at times. So when the kids leave here, I tell my kids, you're representing me, my club, and my community, and I will hold you accountable.
At the start of it, I didn't really know much about myself. So, I mean, of course it meant a lot to me because I was getting to learn and that I got to meet all of these people that I didn't know about and got to hear about all of these people that I didn't know about. But as I it slowly started to become a bigger part of me once I didn't take it seriously enough until all that started happening in the world now is happening. And now that all of this is happening, I cherish that video with my entire heart and soul. It shows my community and who my people are, which I had no clue about and I know all about now, which is so cool. I love it.
I'm Hunter Colley. I'm 20. I'm from East Preston, and this is for the Community Value Project. It just felt like something I had to be a part of, but yeah, it's not like emotional or anything. It just feels like something you're supposed to do. My community, specifically, it's not like I didn't already know all this stuff. It's just, brought to light more how much people care about each other. What I learned about this community is just a little bit of the history, because I didn't really know anything about the history at all. Just more importantly, how much that everyone actually cares for each other here. It's not really apparent until you watch the video, and I edited a bit, and it just shows more how much everyone cares for each other.
Welcome to the Boys and Girls Club of Preston's Community Value Project. In this project, we're going to touch on all sorts of things like the history of our community, the leaders of our community, and most importantly, the youth of our community, while also being able to have others touch on their insight on our community. So again, welcome to our Community Value Project.
My name is Tilly and I live in the community of East Preston and I'm 11 years old. I like my community because there's a lot of nice people, community events, and my Boys and Girls Club is in my community. I like coming to Boys and Girls Club because I like when we do the cooking program, playing games in the gym, and hanging out with my friends.
My name is Micaiah Goff. I'm 11 years old and I live in the community of East Preston, Nova Scotia. My community is respectful, helpful, and I like how the Boys and Girls Club is near home. My Boys and Girls Club is fun because I like playing with my friends. Everybody is nice and I like participating in the cooking program.
Hello, I'm Wanda Thomas Bernard. I'm a senator, and previously I was a social work professor at Dalhousie University, where I worked as director for 10 years. I'm from the community of East Preston.
My name is Mrs. Genevieve Howe. I was born in East Preston.
My name is Dr. Celeste Williams, and I'm from the community of East Preston.
My name is Ross Simmons. I'm a local entrepreneur. I went to the Boys and Girls Club when I was a young kid, and I continue to stay involved with the Boys and Girls Club as a staff member and now as a board member for the Boys and Girls Club of Preston.
Hi, my name is Melina Kennedy. I'm from East Preston, Nova Scotia. It is a predominantly Black community just outside of Dartmouth.
My name's Hunter Colley. I'm a student at St. Mary's University. I myself worked at the Boys and Girls Club during the summer program, and when I was younger, I went to the Boys and Girls Club myself.
Hi, I'm Jace Colley. I am a student athlete. I just spent the last year in Chicago. Before that, I was at Holland College, where I was a former Player of the Year and a college graduate. But most importantly, a member of the East Preston community.
I'm Kayla Slaughter from the proud community of East Preston. I'm currently enrolled in the Waterfront NSCC campus, taking child and youth care. This is currently my first year, and I currently volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club of Preston.
My name is Nakia Thompson. I'm a proud member of the East Preston community, also a proud member of the East Preston Boys and Girls Club for about 5 years now. I am a full-time NSCC student for social services. My future profession is a social services worker for Department of Community Services and Child Welfare.
I think that growing up in the community of East Preston gave me such a fantastic foundation upon which to really build a life that I'm quite proud of, and a life of service. Because as a senator, one of the things that I really think about is actually serving the country.
The Boys and Girls Club of Preston has had a massive impact, not only on my life, but also on so many members of the community. Significant impact not only in helping them kind of see their own potential and kind of open their mind to kind of see, okay, what is the possibilities outside of kind of my own individual community?
I would say that East Preston is a very loving community. It has the holistic approach where everyone belongs to everyone else, and you're not just raised by your family, you're raised by the entire community.
Growing up in the community of East Preston, community is very close-knit. Everyone knows everyone.
When I was growing up, my community was full of friends, family, people I went to school with, a lot of love, and a lot of attention from people that weren't even members of my family, but just from the same community as me.
When we grow up, we oftentimes see those around us, and because of organizations like the Boys and Girls Club of Preston, it gives you the opportunity to kind of get outside of that bubble and see what the real opportunities are when you can kind of move outside of Preston and see what's going on in other communities. Activities that they would offer, such as swimming and going to events, collaborating with other clubs, all of those things provided us at a young age with the opportunity to kind of just get a view and a perspective that was outside of what would traditionally be offered by simply going to school.
And growing up here, I attended the Boys and Girls Club for many summers. I loved my experience, and now in my later years, I work here. And now working here, I get to see all of the great things that they do for our community.
So I would say the community was the first place that I could get a job. I know I applied within and without the community, and I had a lot of support within the community to have my first job. I worked here at the Boys and Girls Club, was my first job, and I started working with children and learning through the current staff that was there at the time and the leadership there on how to become a young adult.
When we returned home, it was such a wonderful feeling because it was a feeling of reconnecting with my roots.
Factors I value about my community is the support that they show within the community. I also value my mother and just the support that I have within my community.
I'm really fortunate now at this stage of my life to be living on land that was granted to my family, who were original Black loyalists that came to Nova Scotia.
School offered without question a lot of the fundamentals that would provide you with what many would consider IQ, but the Boys and Girls Club definitely provided that EQ. So the emotional intelligence of understanding how to kind of operate in the world and how to be a better human and just have a level of empathy that when you do go out there to the world, you can always kind of be your best self and give that to those around you.
I'm currently a mathematics consultant for the Department of Education, but my passion was always with children, and I growing up, I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I knew that I always wanted to give back to those who have given so much to me.
Everyone was super helpful and always involved as I was growing up. I've always been very involved in the community here in East Preston through the Boys and Girls Club of Preston. Started out attending as a kid, then became a junior leader, volunteer as a camp counselor as well, and then became coordinator of the Boys and Girls Club of Preston.
My role model in the community is my grandfather. He's just like the kind of person he is. He's a reliable, very dependable person, and he's always just there for me and other people as well. Another thing is he's a retired police officer, and just by himself, to this day, he still does a lot for the community.
My cousin Chad, who's also a doctor, would be my role model. Being the first medical doctor to come out of East Preston kind of encouraged me to know that I could also do something along those lines.
The biggest benefits, without question, that the Boys and Girls Club has also provided is the ability to provide grants and scholarships and assist young people from this community to get access to funds that were oftentimes not available unless you had connections through things like the Boys and Girls Club.
I would say to young people today, stay in school, get an education, have lots of respect for your parents, especially your parents.
I would say East Preston is a very supportive place. From growing up, I remember a lot of people were always supporting me with no matter what I was doing. I could go door to door, either as a bake sale or selling tickets to something, and I would always have support regardless of anyone's financial situation.
I can remember back when I was graduating from high school and spending hours and hours working with the Boys and Girls Club staff to kind of figure out, okay, where should I apply for university? Where should I be applying when it comes to scholarships? And I was able to have tons of scholarships simply because of the Boys and Girls Club of Preston.
East Preston, North Preston, Cherry Brook, Lake Echo, Porters Lake, Mineville, these all used to be one area. And I say that to say, the kids from all these areas, we all go to the same schools, we all grow up together. You know, we're all one community, and I think that needs to be passed on, because in dividing the land, you know, sometimes you can divide the people.
I think my success has been influenced by the community. The community has always been super supportive of me and everything that I started out doing. Even through school, people would kind of check in and see how things were going.
I would tell a non-community member to come and experience the culture here. I find a lot of people have different perceptions of places that they don't know, and the best way to understand a culture and a community and a world is to go and experience it yourself.
The story of Richard Preston has always been intriguing to me. I initially thought he was the founder of our community. I learned that that wasn't true. It goes back as far as the days of slavery, escape to Nova Scotia and to Preston. And he followed suit later on and founded our church. Settling here, he changed his last name to Preston to shine that light on our community and to show how much he appreciates the community here.
It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. In this community here in East Preston, you'll be treated with respect.
I love East Preston. I wouldn't trade East Preston for any other place in the world, because I think it's a wonderful community and I love it here.
I can say with confidence that if it wasn't for the Boys and Girls Club of Preston, I would have been definitely in a financial kind of hole where I would have had tons of debt and student loans that I would have had to capture. But because of the Boys and Girls Club of Preston, I was able to not only attend university, but also to graduate from university debt-free.
Coming here to this club, the Preston Boys and Girls Club, you know, I commend Margaret and all of the people that work here, because this is really important work. When I think about some of the young people from East Preston who've come up through the Boys and Girls Club, and you look at the careers that they have today, I would say that a lot of the foundation for their lives was built right here at the Boys and Girls Club.
Well, at first, it was just to come and play ball, but now it's different. I used to come in when I was 10 and play ball with the older kids and stuff, because Tyrell and Sean let me in. There was literally nothing to do besides that. Now, it means more to me than that. You do more stuff than just play ball now. You have fun. You go out and do good things with the community. Sometimes we just literally sit here and talk the whole time.
A lot of kids are rude to each other nowadays, but like when I come to the Boys and Girls Club, it's just a place where I feel comfortable. I don't gotta be disrespected or felt like I'm any different from the other people. So.
It just was a place where I got the opportunities I would never get, like go places that I probably would have never went to before. And even like at the time, the first thing that really like captivated me about the Boys and Girls Club is that it was like one of the first times I ever felt like everything was a community.
Sometimes when you have like problems, like sometimes you don't feel like talking to your parents, you're able to talk to like the people who coordinate the programs and stuff. I find that's very helpful. So you don't really dwell on your problems and things like that.
When I come here, I feel like I have like lots of family here.
Like when I'm bored, I'll just go there, and it's a good way to like get out your problems, and the leaders are like very understanding. So I just want like people to know that if you're like just ever going through something, you can always just go there and get a note, and people are very understanding about it.
I have a friend, a really close friend that's in prison. I think wrongfully convicted, that he's doing life. And one of the things he told me is that, yeah, the only thing he ever had was the Boys and Girls Club in Dartmouth. And he actually told me, you know, you should go by and like do things, because he's like, the most important thing I did in my life was go to camp through the Boys and Girls Club. And he's like, I always remember that. It's the one thing I ever did, basically. And, you know, that really touched me too, right? Like he told me that behind glass, right? And was saying that this is the one thing he remembered that he got to do.
Wow.
The one program that he got, and he always remembers going to that camp and what's created.
I'm Tyrell. I grew up here in the neighborhood down in the north end. Lived here pretty much my whole life. This would be my 7th year here with the Boys and Girls Club. Growing up, like I've been through, you know, some of the troubles it is to be a youth and, you know, to be a child in the community, and I just don't want that for the same people growing up. I sort of want to help be a part of changing, you know, the stereotypes and stuff like that, just to help them out a little more. I was a child coming here to the club, so I've pretty much been here in this building from like, you know, 5 to now 20, so.
We're not that much older than they are. When we were growing up, we didn't have youth programs. We had like the Boys and Girls Club, but that was it. You know, we went home at 6, did it again the next day, but we didn't have what they have. We didn't get to experience the things they get to, the opportunities they get. It might take a while to get there, but they do get a lot out of the youth program.
Yeah, when I was like 11, I would come here with the older guys like to play ball for the youth program, and I wasn't even supposed to, but they would just let us all in because like literally the only other thing to do was like hit the bushes with sticks and walk around. Like there was literally nothing.
We want to listen and hear a little bit more about Elle. I think people see you in the media, people hear your poetry, but tell us who you are. Like where did you come from and how did you get to where you are today?
people always have an idea about who you are, you know, and I don't actually let a lot of my private life forward to people because they don't know me and it's not for them. So what I put on social media is like all political or work, and like what you see in the media is just like political. So then people have this idea of me that I'm like this huge bitch, you know, I'm just like, oh, screaming at people. And like people can't imagine that I might go home and just like lie in bed and like make stuffed animal voices or something, you know, like they don't like imagine that about you. But then they also kind of box you in that way. So people often will say stuff to me like, oh, like I can't believe I told someone I went for dinner with you, and they're like, oh my God, we eat dinner at Al Jones? Like, that must mean so scary. And I'm like, but I'm just a person, right? But we also know that, like, as a black woman in society, that comes with a lot, right? That people don't just let you get up and tell your story and, like, clap you. They want to threaten you. They want to tell you why you're doing this wrong. They want to make you feel less. They want to shame you out of your voice and sound. So you have to, like, fight that every day. And that, for me, was what poetry really was, and that's where it started for me. So I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a writer. None of my life is anything I planned. My mom's an immigrant, and she's like a classic immigrant, like Caribbean woman. I don't know if any of you have immigrant moms, but like super strict. So I was always like, be the good kid, like don't screw up. So I was always like perfect. I was on the track team, I was in the band, so like totally different story, right? But it was also like that was a box too, because it wasn't, you know, I was reacting to my mom's trauma coming from a colonial country. Like her dad, you know, like he like used to take her out to the park and meet other women with her there, you know, and like my grandmother used to have to open the door to my granddad's woman, and she couldn't do anything about it. And like my grandmother couldn't speak, my mother couldn't speak, my great-great-grandmother couldn't speak. They could barely live. And, you know, I'm here and I'm going to speak with everything I have. And I want everybody else, whenever they have the chance, to feel that they can speak too. So I just try to make that happen too.
I want to be someone that can make people happy. Like when someone's having a bad day, one conversation can spark their whole mood up. And I want to be a role model to people younger than me.
For me, I want to be, like Armani said, a role model, but like in a different way, where I can necessarily be somebody that somebody looks up to, but also be somebody where there's boundaries. Like, I can be here for you, but I can't take you along for your steps. Like, you have to take your steps along the road. I'm going to be here to support you and be somebody for you to look up to, but I'm not going to carry you on my back and take you on the journey that you have to be.
I want to be an influencer. I want to influence people to, like me, like I write poetry, and like in my poetry, like a lot of the times I talk about like mental health, because like I've been in situations where like I've really like hated myself, whether if it was my hair, the color of my skin, or just like the people around me. And like I've been in like some really dark places, like in my personal opinion, for like only the couple, like 15 years I've been on this earth. And like I want people to know, like, you can get through anything, whether if it's like you're being abused physically or mentally or whatever. Like, there's always a way out, no matter what. It might be hard, but like you'll always get out.
I want to be someone that shows me and my people, my fellow black people, reality. Because I feel like us as black people, we're a book, and people only see the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to show the words and like our experience, because especially in media, we're portrayed as like so many like horrible things. I feel like we're just so much more than that. So I feel like that needs to be shown.
And like the media makes, like, in my opinion, makes like a caricature of black people and generalizes them in every negative way, every negative stereotype, microaggression, etc., etc., etc. And yeah, and it's like, and then when we go out into the real world, people apply those things onto us, and then we have to move through it, and etc., etc. So, yeah.
You can't win, right? Because they'll be like, oh, you guys were all criminals.
Yeah. Like it's good, like you
You're
guys
all
like catching that.
drugs,
This up. Like,
and then if you got education, then they're like, oh, you're so uppity.
Yeah. Or be like, you're white, or you have
Yeah. I mean, they drew me like a monkey in the news. Like, they literally drew a cartoon of me as a monkey. And so, like, you know, and I'm supposed to be doing the right things, right? So that means that their narrative, like, it's not about us. So we can't be, you're right. Like, we got to take control of that, right? Because they'll always say something, oh, all your community's this, you're all pimps, you're all this, you're all drug dealers, you're all gun crimes, and then if you do something else, then they'll find something else to say about you. So yeah, that's really how all of you are saying that you want like these own voices.
Yeah, I just feel like sometimes, people just get boxed in to like one thing, especially Black people, and like especially with like Black or dark skinned women, they get boxed into like that, like loud. And loud and angry, and like they always have an attitude, like the box, and it's just like I've only been here a short time, but like I've seen that, and I'm like that's not, we're human, like we're the same skin, like we're not all like that, and probably the reason why you're getting that aggression towards them is because you're trying to put them in that box, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your role as Halifax's poet laureate? Is that what it's the title?
Yeah, so that's
and how is it like to be in that space and to speak your truth in rooms that weren't always like this?
Oh, so poet laureate is like the official. It's kind of weird. It's like the official poet of the city. So like you're appointed by, it's like the library, the mayor, and community to kind of be the voice of the city on issues. And I guess when I did it, it was kind of shocking because I decided if that was the thing, that's what I was gonna do. So I would like talk about police, about justice, about like, they'd ask me to do an event, it would be like Christmas. So I'd be like, why are there homeless people in our streets at Christmas? And you're spending all this money on a lights parade, but you can't put people in a shelter. So that would be like what I was delivering as a Christmas message, So the people would like ask me they'd go, oh, this is City Poet Laureate, can you come and talk to kids who are in the child welfare system? And I just do like little poems. I put like their names in the poem so they could hear their name. And that kid would be like, oh my gosh, like someone said my name in a poem. So when you have an opportunity that so many people don't have, like you can go two ways with it. You can try and get something for, or you can get something for everybody you can think about there. So that was really what I was doing with it. It's not like every day is a good day. Like there's days when it's like, I get really angry and stuff. Like I'm frustrated a lot. I'm always like, what's this happening? But through it all, I'm like, I just come back to that idea, like you have a poem, you have a poem, right? And like, what does that mean for us as Black people to stand here and be able to say these things and say them uninterrupted? And I think, like you said, like not everybody gets to speak. So when we get to speak, I think we just always ask ourselves, who didn't get to speak before me and who doesn't get to speak now? And can I take this moment and do that? And if people don't like that, well, whatever.
This is a great segue.
And this is why I was like I'm like, I know I want to hear these poems. Like that's why I'm here.
So we have a couple of poems that have been prepared for tonight. So, Arjun and Asia.
This is how I want to start it off. I have a question. Can you answer me this? We don't judge a book by its cover, so why do we judge skin color? God made us all different shades. We were made like an ace. If you really think about it, He gave us our place. Now it's up to us to love every race. Nowadays, either we solve it with violence or we take 2 steps back and we stay silent. Walking down the street in total fear, looking back as if someone was near whispering in my ear. Go home, don't come back. People tell me my life is off track. Walking down the street, now almost a block away from home. People looking at me as if I did something wrong. I gotta ask, is it my color? Is it my race? I don't understand. Why hate? There's a time and a place. Is it because I move at my own pace? Is there a reason why you feel the need to discriminate? When you look at me in my eyes, would you believe me if I said I was hurt inside? Young or old, nothing changes. Do they have a mother? Maybe even a brother? Remember, race is just a place when you're killing another.
Wow.
Dear Martin Luther King, it's 12:45 a.m. and I haven't had a dream. Instead, I gaze at the glistening stars, surrounded by blackness, as the stars stare back at my blackness, cautiously glancing at these small, ghastly shades. My eyes start to close, soon to doze to awakening sleep. Dear Maya Angelou, it's 1:08 p.m. and I had a dream. I had a dream that I was stuck in a rut. I had a dream that I was stuck in the crack of hell, that there was no way out. I have a question. Through evil, can I rise? Rise like dust. Rise like a glass overflowing with success. Or like a balloon filled with helium, regret, pain, and love. Dear Tupac Shakur, it's 2:27 p.m. I've been contemplating for the last hour and 19 minutes. I've been debating if I could be the rose that grew from the concrete. I may have a couple broken petals, a couple sharp thorns, but I also have tenacity, I also have drive, I also have a lot of characteristics that you can't see with the naked eye. But I mean, dear Malcolm X, it's 4 o'clock on the dot, but if someone who stands for nothing will fall for anything, how do I stand strong when no one taught me how? Do I pray for the tutorials sent from the heavens? Do I DIY a crowbar for a backbone? Dear Huey P. Newton, it's 4:53, but I've been thinking, how can I even the odds? How do I stand proud like a panther and strong like a tree with roots so strong not even Hurricane Katrina could knock me over? How do I fight myself, my shadow? Dear Etta James, it's 5 o'clock, but listen. Sometimes I can't comprehend my thinking. Sometimes my own complexity astonishes me. Most of the time, I can't seem to soak up my thoughts. About 5 minutes ago, I was reasoning my purpose, asking why I'm here. My deep thoughts make me shiver and shake. They make me tremble in fear. Most of the time, all I can do is cry. Can't scream, shout, or move. Just cry. I let the tears softly shower down my face while I sit with an okay smile. As I realize my death will either be by a bullet or 1,000 paper cuts, or I either live to die or die to live.
You're all in places that I can imagine being at your age, right? I can imagine having that kind of emotional literacy that you just had there. Like that's mind. So when you're shouting out all those ancestors and revolutionaries, like, did someone teach you that, or was that something you learned yourself?
I learned myself, and like a little bit, tiny bit in school, and like my mom, like I remember when I used to live in Toronto, like when I lived there, I remember one February, my mom was like, so it's February, it's Black History Month, so every day this month you guys are gonna search up a new person that's Black and what they did, and then you're gonna tell me about them. So, and that's how I kind of learned about a lot of different Black people important to society. So, yeah, and I feel like this poem is like really important to me because, like I said, it talks about mental health, and that's something very important to me because I feel like it's something that's very shunned upon and not really looked, especially in the Black community, and on that I think is a problem. The same stereotypes are like on Black people are portrayed on women and men, but on a woman it's like you shouldn't act like that because a woman is not supposed to be strong, a woman is not supposed to be powerful, and a man is supposed to be strong. So if you're not like that, it's wrong. You can't be submissive, you can't cry, you can't do things like that. So yeah.
I feel like we need better communication skills. I feel like today kids are really taught a lot of things that shouldn't be taught. The more you communicate, the more you understand things. And it's like you said, kids are young now and so wise. I mean, you don't gotta be taught it. I feel like sometimes you just gotta own up to it and learn it on your own. Not everything is taught through parents. Not everything is taught through other people. Sometimes you just gotta teach yourself how to love and hate and just do you and build yourself to succeed a bigger path than you ever believed yourself to take.
In my opinion, I don't think wisdom is something that comes by the snap of your fingers, or it's something that you gain over time by experience. Like the reason why people say I'm wise or whatever. So basically the reason I'm the way I am because I experienced a lot of different things. Like I've seen a lot of different things, a lot of different walks of people. I might not have did a lot of things, but I've seen, I swear I've seen everything,
That
for real.
experience is so close to how you are, your characteristics, what's helpful, your morals and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
My heart is full and my mind is blown.
Yeah.
You guys are, this is unbelievable. Just hearing from all of you, just seeing how much integrity you have with each other in this space, and just how much you're sharing, or people that may not be sharing as much, but just the way you're present in the space for other people, when they're sharing. I feel really honored to be here. Thank you so much.